Hello, I'm Doug Llewellyn. And if you have a residential or a commercial property that you want to sell or have to sell, you're going to be very happy you tuned into this show today.
They say they're going to sell the property. They sold the property within 1 day.
And maybe you're one of the millions of homeowners who are facing foreclosure or are behind in your payments or owe more on your property than it's actually worth. Well, we have opportunities and solutions for you too.
I had been in foreclosure for about 4 years and totally wiped out.
That's what makes me love my job, to start people over again in their lives when they thought that they couldn't. So my job is to give them the right information, the current information, certain programs that may be available to them. So it costs her absolutely nothing. No legal fees, no negotiation fees, and believe it or not, no commission real estate fees.
Perhaps you have a home that was damaged in Hurricane Sandy or by a fire or a flood. Or you have a rental property and the tenants aren't paying. Or it's a vacant piece of land and you don't even know what it's worth, but you want to sell as is.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, a pipe should break, they would call me. I did not want to be a landlord, nor a super anymore.
Condition doesn't matter. We buy everything. It doesn't matter if the house had a fire, is on fire, devastated by a storm, and the house is completely flooded. The house is boarded up. The condition of the house doesn't matter because we buy everything. The condition does not matter.
Well, you're just a phone call away from Realty experts who are coordinated to provide you with the answers, the advice, and most importantly, the money. We're here at the Realty Warehouse headquarters where the phones are ringing, and it certainly seems like there is a real estate boom underway.
There's finally a one-stop shop in real estate to service any type of homeowners or property owners' needs.
You know, that's really interesting, Stephen. What made you and your team come up with this concept?
Many homeowners find themselves in a position where they owe more in their house than it's worth, or they're behind on their mortgage. That never used to happen, or if it did, it was very rare. So nowadays, again, because that's so common, we have a servicing platform that specifically services and are experts in helping people that owe more in their house than it's worth.
Suppose someone gets a letter that their house is about to be put up for auction. What should they do then?
They should call immediately, because you know what? We've been able to help homeowners the day before the auction, but we've also not been able to help homeowners the day before the auction. So because the entire foreclosure process is starting to really pick up speed now, and that's what we're seeing, it's important to call immediately.
Stephen, explain to me just what a short sale is.
A short sale is when you owe more in the house than it's worth. And many people also are behind on their mortgage payments. So what happens is the lender decides to accept a lesser amount as payment in full, and they let the homeowner walk away and wipe the slate clean to move on to a fresh start.
You know, I've heard short sales can take forever and sometimes not even go through at all.
The perception in the industry is that these transactions are so difficult to ever get to the closing table. But the reason for that is because the peoples and parties responsible for handling these transactions aren't experts. So it's like, you know, having a heart attack and going to your intern versus going to your cardiologist. This is all that we do, and we're the experts in the industry.
Can you give me an example of a short sale transaction?
We helped a gentleman that owed $400,000 on a property that wasn't even worth $150,000. We were able to negotiate with his lender to get them to accept payment in full for an offer that was only $135,000. Not only did the homeowner walk away without owing the bank a dime, but he was also able to walk away with upwards of $10,000 in relocation money.
Relocation money? That's interesting. What's that?
What happens is banks are getting smart nowadays, and what they want to do is incentivize homeowners, instead of going into foreclosure and beating up the properties, to actually, move on their own terms and have a cooperative sale. So banks are paying homeowners anywhere between $3,000 and in some cases up to $35,000 or $40,000 to relocate.
So you're saying that someone who hasn't paid their mortgage in years can actually sell their house for whatever they can get and walk away without owing anything on it and actually end up with money?
Absolutely, every day.
I was laid off my job in May of '08, and I became disabled because of my stroke. that I had when I was 42. And here I was left with a mortgage of $1,600 that I couldn't afford on disability. And did my best to make any payments. I went through my whole 401k, all my savings, all my money, every penny went into that home. I was up till 2 o'clock one morning. I spoke to this gentleman and all my questions were answered immediately. They said what we're going to do is do a short sale. We wrote letters together regarding my situation and I felt so calm and so good, and I knew that he was going to help me. I received a letter one day from City Mortgage offering me $17,000 to move. I would call Ken an angel, really, because it's really no fun waiting for the sheriff to come and throw us out.
And Stephen, what do you charge for this service?
We don't charge a dime. In fact, anybody that's behind on their mortgage or in a distressed situation should be wary of anybody that's charging them for a service without yielding any type of results.
What if someone is behind on their mortgage, but it's an investment property, and they don't even live there?
Very common. Not only do tenants sometimes not pay the rent, but they also beat up these properties. And what we're able to do is work out an arrangement with the tenant to help them relocate. And not only that, but get the short sale done simultaneously so the homeowner could be off the hook for the mortgage.
And what about the balance of the mortgage that is not paid from the sale of the house?
It gets completely forgiven, and that's the entire premise of the short sale, is so that a homeowner that owes $400,000 on a $200,000 house is able to walk away debt-free from the entire transaction.
The house developed mold, and she still lived there until she got ill. She left her house to move in with family members. She thought she had nowhere to turn. I told her about a short sale. She didn't know what that even meant. I explained to her, it's when you owe more than what your house is worth. Not your fault. We went through the entire process, first of all, to relieve the emotion and stress, put it on my shoulders. That's what I always tell my clients. We sold the house for her. She went to move on. She's healthy right now, with her son, living in another location, and couldn't believe that somebody actually took the time, gave her the right advice for her to start a new life. And for me, that's what makes me love my job, to start people over again in their lives when they thought that they couldn't. So my job is to give them the right information, the current information, certain programs that may be available to them. So it costs her absolutely nothing. No legal fees, no negotiation fees, and believe it or not, no commission real estate fees. There was a hardship on this property. She walked away completely free, never having to give anybody a penny.
Stephen, give me 3 typical caller examples. Can you do that?
The first would be the seller that's just interested in getting a quick cash offer, but they have equity in their home. And they're relocating because of employment purposes or just because they're retiring down to Florida, and they want to get a quick cash offer. It's extremely convenient, so they give us a call. The other 2 examples I would have to group together and say that, we work with a lot of people that have distressed properties, and also we work with a lot of people who are in distress themselves, so distressed homeowners or property owners. And for example, a distressed property owner could be somebody that owes more in a house than it's worth. They could be in a divorce or even an estate deal. And an example of a distressed property itself would be, let's say, a property that's been burned down. It has major fire damage, or there was hurricane damage from, the recent storms. Or even worse than that, a lot of properties today have uncooperative tenants and squatters that, truly beat up these properties and rip out the pipes, etc.
My name is Pastor Duran F. Allen, and I'm the pastor of the Temple Salvation and Deliverance Church Ministry, located in New York and in New Jersey. I've been pastoring now for about 18 years. I am also a retired New York City Police lieutenant. Inherited a property in Amityville, New York, and I was trying to determine what I was going to do, whether I was going to keep it or sell it. So one day I just heard a voice say, turn the radio on. So I was driving in my car, I turned the radio on, and the commercial came on that if you have a house to sell, we have somebody that's willing to buy. And I said, well, this must be the answer that God has given me. So I called. It was about 8 o'clock at night. I made the phone call. And believe it or not, someone called me back immediately. And the process started from there. The next day, showed the property. The gentleman loved it. Called me back within a few hours and said, I want to make an offer on the property. I was so surprised. Right after that, we began the closing process, and within 3 weeks, we were closing on that property.
Stephen, explain to me, why should people call 10minuteoffer.com?
10-Minute Offer has an open checkbook, and our employees are extremely excited about it. We're looking to buy houses, and we're looking to buy 100 houses in the next 100 days with an open checkbook. So sellers, anybody looking to sell, please give us a call now. Get an offer in 10 minutes, close in 10 days with no real estate commissions.
It all starts with the phone call. When I do speak to the individual, I ask very basic questions. What's the reason for the call? Where's your house located? What's the property condition? What's your situation? Do you have a house that's perfect? You want a quick offer in 10 minutes? I had a conversation with my boss. He said to me, Mindy, I have an open checkbook. I want you to get me 100 houses. I want to buy 100 houses in 100 days. Can you do it? I said, absolutely. How am I going to do it? By people calling me.
You know, is this 10-minute offer really for real?
Absolutely. Based on today's technology, I can give you an all-cash offer in 10 minutes, close in 10 days, without ever even paying a commission. It's not impossible. It's very easy. But again, it starts with a phone call. We're going to help you from beginning to end with the right people, the right staff, and the right opportunity for you to start your life again, because that's what it's about.
Mindy, what kind of properties qualify for this offer?
Properties that qualify would be 1 to 4 family, mixed use, commercial properties, even vacant land will qualify. We buy everything.
And what about the condition of the property?
Condition doesn't matter. We buy everything. It doesn't matter if the house had a fire, is on fire, devastated by a storm, and the house is completely flooded. The house is boarded up. The condition of the house doesn't matter because we buy everything. The condition does not matter. In 10 minutes, I can give them an offer, and in 10 days, they can close with cash in hand. Very, very simple.
The company does what they say they're going to do. They said they're going to sell the property. They sold the property within 1 day.
So, that's the story of Realty Warehouse. If you have property that you want to sell or need to sell, or if you're facing foreclosure, now you know who to call. They're just a short phone call away. I'm Doug Llewellyn. Thanks so much for watching.